first have pledge allegiance to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The first thing on the agenda is the roll call. Secretary, take the roll call.
Chair Ames,
Here.
Councilmember Happala. Commissioner Bees.
Here.
Commissioner Carlson.
Here.
Commissioner Carroll. Here. Commissioner Jorgensen.
Here.
Commissioner Lewis. Planner Nash. Here. And City Clerk Natalie Johnson. Roll call is complete.
Thank you. The next thing is the brew amend the agenda for tonight. Somebody like to make this motion?
I'll make the motion to approve the agenda for this evening. We can just make this one.
I'll second.
Commissioner B, seconded. Mr. Farrell, does want to make a motion? Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The next thing we're going to do is approve the July 22nd, 2025 meeting minutes. Do we have a motion for this?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Mr. Farrell, made motion. Commissioner Carlson, seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. The next thing we're going to do is open our first public hearing. First public hearing has to do with amending the zoning ordinance for cannabis cultivation. So, we'll turn it over to our planner here.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So Matt and Rhiannon Paradise are here this evening. They have applied for a property owner-driven ordinance amendment related to the cannabis section of your zoning ordinance. So specifically, this is in relation to cannabis cultivation. They have been through the process with the state and have been preliminarily approved. Not finally approved yet, but preliminarily approved. But one piece that they need to address or deal with is the zoning. So their property is zoned rural residential agriculture, as is 90+% of the property in Nelda. And we are only allowing cultivation in the ordinance in the industrial zoning district. So the ordinance amendment before you would do a few different things. It would, as drafted, it would list cannabis cultivation as a possible interim use in the RRA zoning district. It provides that it would require an interim use permit in order to do that. So a separate application, standard interim use permit kind of format that you guys would review at a public hearing, put conditions on if it was approved, et cetera, And the way I have it drafted, I also put that it could only be applied for on land that's not less than 10 acres in size, and that is classified as agricultural for tax purposes. I did that for discussion purposes at this point, recognizing that the community is predominantly that zoning district, and that district is a mix of residential uses and agricultural uses. If we don't put some sort of a limit, and this doesn't have to be the one, then somebody on a 2-acre parcel could come in and apply for this potentially, right embedded within the neighborhood. So I was trying to come up with some way to do something there. There's probably multiple other ways that could be done that might be a little bit different. And then it would also apply the same buffers that are in place in the industrial zoning districts. So in your packet, I included a bunch of information from the state on their rules regarding cannabis cultivation, so you can see all of the different layers that they would need to meet and follow if you open that up to the RRA district and then they ultimately had a permit approved, just to try to give you some confidence that the state is regulating these and what, those requirements might be for them. And that is something that we address the zoning part as the city, but the state would address the inspections and everything of any cultivation facility that would be constructed. So that is what I have for an introduction for you. I'd love to give them an opportunity to speak to you and talk about what they're hoping to do, why they're applying for this amendment, anything else they'd like to share about what they're desiring.
Okay, yeah, we'd like to hear what you have to say. Give us your name and your address.
Rhiannon Paradise, 19420 Rhinestone Street, Northwest. Keep going, right over there.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, would you like to explain what you'd like? Because you're asking for this ordinance change.
So we would like to be able to cultivate a half an acre outside or up to 5,000 square foot greenhouse, which is enormous, and I don't think we would ever actually use that much. But cannabis cultivation and the legalization of it in Minnesota is going to be like the craft beer was 10, 15 years ago. It's going to pop up. It's going to, everybody's going to get on the bandwagon and be excited. We're hoping to develop a brand, our own brand, and have a very niche market where it's, small batches, potentially a hybrid of our own, kind of organically grown. I don't know if I can actually get it organically certified, but organically grown. And just, something fun and interesting.
So we both have day jobs, but we are in agribusiness. We've been around agribusiness for more than we care to admit. And we see this as a cash crop opportunity. She's very much into horses. We have horses. Very expensive to have it. Thus, the reason why we're looking for other resource or other income streams. But so the Office of Cannabis Management of Minnesota, which is the state regulatory body that governs this, has allowed there to be micro-business licenses that can cultivate for a maximum of a half an acre and 5,000 indoor cannabis or greenhouse, or macro business, which is a full acre and 15,000. And those were actually lotteried out at 300 max. And I don't even think they hit that max. But we applied for the micro because we don't intend this to be manufacturing or a very large business, very boutique, as she said, kind of very similar to a micro business, a microbrewery. We have 40 acres. It's you can't even see it, but all of these fields over here. So that's kind of why we suggested to Cindy that maybe we make it so that larger acreages can do this and not smaller acreages, so you don't see it inside of regular neighborhoods. It is I don't know if any of you have ever seen it, but it is a pungent flower. It doesn't carry that far, but you probably don't want it in your industrial zone growing, even if it's in a greenhouse gas, because you're going to smell it all around here. But it doesn't travel more than a half an acre outdoor growing. Our neighbors won't even smell it because we have trees to block it. So essentially, we want to do it. We only want to grow and package and sell to retailers and processors, of which there'll be plenty popping up here. And those are separate endorsements and separate licenses. We don't want anything to do with the retail side of the business. We want to be basically growers and wholesalers.
I want to have a big garden.
Does anybody have any questions they'd like to ask?
Yeah, Mr. Chair.
Yes, please.
Manufacturing or just cultivation?
Just cultivation.
Okay. Because manufacturing is a separate license, is that true?
It is.
Yeah.
Yep.
Processors that'll make the edibles, the drinkables, or
Right.
baked goods. We will be growing it, and then we will have to comply with the state regulations for packaging if we sell to retailers. We would like to sell to retailers, but also sell to the processors as well in bulk, so that they can make whatever they need.
Okay.
Any others on planning and zoning? In other words, all you're gonna do is, just like, you're gonna grow it like you do in a garden. That's all you're gonna do. And then
We're gonna grow it, we'll harvest it by hand,
Yeah.
we'll hang it up to dry in our shed
We'll have to package
that
it.
we already have, and then we'll package it.
You know, we've already have an ordinance for, in our industrial area, this opening this up for the whole city is something we have to consider. Right now, Cindy recommends 20 acres.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
Leonard Nash, so if we approve the ordinance change, then they would have to come back with a interim use permit request, correct?
That is correct. The way that this is drafted, they would need to apply for that interim use permit, and then you could put, site-specific conditions upon how somebody's design is.
Okay,
And just for clarification, it's just a recommendation to the city council. Ultimately, the city council would make the decision.
but you're saying in the process of harvesting, it does put out a fall order for quite a ways.
Like I say, it's foul, and it does produce it while it's growing, not just when you're harvesting it.
So,
You don't really want it growing in the center of town.
And so you can smell that from how far away then?
yeah, it really depends, probably a couple 100 feet.
It'd be mostly right in your building where you're.
Yeah, it'll be right, we have 40 acres, so it's really far away from our house, it's got trees, we think where we want to start it, but yeah. It doesn't go very far, but if you had it in the industrial zone, I'm not sure, I probably shouldn't assume, but I assume that this is the only industrial zone in now then, so if we had it around here, it probably would be great, is all I meant by that.
And just for point of clarification, the state would allow somebody to grow it either outside or inside of a greenhouse. And the way I've drafted the ordinance would not have any bearing on what somebody would choose, as long as they were following their permit from the state.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Commissioner Hippo.
what is it? Our current ordinance restricted to indoor only? In the industrial zone?
Don't remember offhand. I think it does.
I thought it did.
What was that?
I don't think it did, I thought we just assumed it would be indoor because of the climate.
Yes.
I think that was kind of an assumption made, but I remember the discussion, I just don't remember the outcome.
As I looked at the ordinance we got proposed, the state has a lot of requirements. And it's, to meet these, it's not gonna be easy,
No, it's not.
not at all.
It is not. We've already filled out 13 different cultivation, irrigation, watershed, disposal, business plan, security plan, and can't remember them all, but I do remember there was 13 different multi-page documents that we submitted to get the pre-approval that we have to finalize before, and fiber is right around the corner. We actually got it knocked on our door the other day from Xfinity, which
That'll help our security.
that'll help with security and the rest, which is what we have to wait for essentially to make sure we have high-speed internet so that we can secure it properly but yes, you're right, the state has many regulations, setback regulations, all kinds of regulations.
I don't know if I've seen that in the regulations, are you allowed to have people come in and tour your plant?
Only if you have a retailer license, like if you have a use on site endorsement, then it's allowed. I'm not interested in the public.
The micro business license allows you to do several different things, but we only want to cultivate. We don't want public. We live in Nowdon because we don't like public. we don't want public coming to our house.
We like public, it's just maybe not,
You have 40 acres.
in
for
our
In
your
our
house.
house, yes, exactly.
Let's just say it that way.
yeah,
Yeah, so we just wanna cultivate, we wanna grow a big garden and
yeah, I want to
produce amazing flower and,
Yeah.
and sell it.
Chairman,
Yes.
to answer the previous question, the ordinance was adopted to require that in the industrial district, the cultivation occur inside building.
This would be expansion.
Correct.
And they're growing outside the growing seasons, limited to. It's not like you're gonna be doing it in the middle of winter.
Yeah, I mean, you could, but it'd be expensive, because you need full HVAC inside, yeah. Yes, it would be expensive.
It seems to me the more acreage you have, the requirement would control it a little better.
You could certainly do that. I just put a very small requirement in here at the moment, but you could certainly change that acreage to a different number. You could go maybe 20 acres or something. You could also consider potentially having the area that would be cultivated on be at least, say, 500 feet from the property line. Because that would probably be enough then to keep any odor from traveling to the neighbor's site.
My thought before tonight was to keep it, have 40 acre be a minimum, but I'd probably be open to 20 acre. But I don't think I'd wanna go down to 10.
Personally, I'd like to see it at 40. Because I'd have more control than when somebody comes in with 20 acres. No, we have better control on it.
The one thing I'd caution is, and I'll use them as a example, but if you went to a number like 40, don't forget that because of the curvature of the earth and maybe other things, a lot of people who think they have a 40-acre parcel don't really. They might have 39 acres or 39 and some change. So
As far as
that's
I'm
pretty
concerned, that's
true.
too bad.
I'm just commenting that.
Not any parcel of land is an exact 40, because you have roads and right-of-ways that eat into that. Used to be a 40, just to be honest.
Well, that's one way you could limit a lot of them coming in, because we have a lot of open land here. And I'm just afraid that pretty soon, everybody's gonna be out here wanting that.
What do you mean by open land? Just because it's
We have a lot of 40 acres. Yeah,
agricultural?
agricultural land, yes, agricultural land.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
Carlson. I like the idea of, like, with the additional distance from property lines, I think you could reduce the number of acreage with some of those restrictions as well, but the control is also the IUP that's necessary. Just, if this ordinance is changed, we might have more people applying for an IUP, but, we discuss those individually. Anyways, there's some control there based on the circumstances of the properties, and there's no one set cookie cutter parcel in now then, right? So. But I don't know what that number would be. If 10 acres and 500 feet from a property line is gonna eliminate 10 acres, you know what I mean? Yeah, you know what I mean, so.
Another thing that I had in this draft ordinance is that not only did it have to be on 10 acres, but it also had to be on property that's classified for tax purposes as agricultural. And I guess I'd ask the question of if the land is large enough and somebody's applying for something like that and it's basically a home occupation, as opposed to, because that is actually going to be taxed as the cannabis cultivation is taxed as commercial, that aspect of it, not as agricultural. So we could potentially remove that part of it and maybe go up to 20 acres instead. And if somebody has enough land, but that their land is not otherwise classified as agricultural, and there could be all kinds of reasons for that.
I've got over 40 acres, and I can't get agriculture.
Right,
And
but you might have enough land or can construct a greenhouse to do something like this.
Is it written currently that it has to be owner occupied? So it can't just be 40 acres, they have to live on the property?
We could add that in.
I think it should be,
Mr. Chair?
yes.
So, just throwing out my opinion, because that's what we have to do here, is we have to think all angles through. And I do like the ag green acres exemption, or the green acres on the tax for the purpose, because it shows that the land is probably going to be prosperous. Like, let's just think outside the box. If the land is not already covered in green acres and it's 10 acres, what's the likelihood that it's actually being cultivated and can be cultivated? So having green acres attached to it, I think, is a good thing.
I think it is too.
And doing the 10 acres, I think, is a great minimum, because that is the bare minimum that is required for Anoka County's green acres. And as far as the owner operated, I think that's a big, big plus. We don't want someone to just own 40 acres with the
Exactly.
potential to build a home and then have this giant pole building, which I don't know how they can do that with agricultural cannabis being done. But
Yeah,
that's where I
I-
think I'm at too.
I mean, if you're not gonna be a owner occupied
Um,
resident, then it should be in the industrial area.
Agreed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know,
I
there's
agree.
business areas and then there's homeowner occupation.
Because if you're gonna not live on the property, most likely you're gonna want security, and you're gonna have the better opportunity to fence it in and get cameras on all angles, probably in the industrial area, because you're going to be allowed the lighting that you're going to need to do such.
That brings up a good question. Does the state make any differentiation between operating at your residence versus any other property?
I didn't see any.
Yeah.
I mean, it is voluminous what they have out there, I've
Right.
tried to read it all. And some of it's a little contradictory, so.
I suppose it probably comes down to the municipality, whether you're allowed to do it.
Yeah,
or not,
they-
so.
The good thing is they're very much encouraging anybody who's applying for any of these endorsements. Talk to your local municipality, it's up to them, they need to make the decisions, work with them.
And I brought up lighting, and I just realized there's probably a section in here for it, and there is.
Mr. Chairman.
Is the current ordinance, I mean, we're not changing, if it is in the industrial area, we're not changing that to being outdoors, right? We would have to.
No, that's
Stay
not,
Oh,
that's separate, that's a completely separate issue, no?
You know, I'm limited in my 40 acres because I don't have agriculture. I think we should eliminate more people who say they have to have 40 acres.
Why?
Why? Same reason. I think you have better control of it. Because what I'm scared of is everybody's gonna wanna come in with it. And if they have 40 acres, I don't see where would be a problem. Because I can't have it because I'm not agriculture. The county won't let me be agriculture.
Expand, why can you not have it?
Because I don't have enough tillable land.
So if you took down trees, you'd have tillable land.
They still wouldn't let me be agriculture. Trees don't count as agriculture.
If you took down the trees and you tilled the land, you would have tillable land.
I have more, I have more land. I don't know if they consent to it or not, because I went around and around the county. Because I do have some farming land.
Okay.
And I harvest my trees. I harvest my trees. I have a wood burning stove, so I harvest the trees, but they won't let that count.
I meant like clearing a parcel to get you to enough tillable acreage. That's what I meant.
Yeah, well, I imagine you could do it, I don't know.
Yeah. So it's not that your property cannot be A.
It's
It's
not
that
that
it's,
it's there for
not-
profitable purpose of this.
I agree with
currently it's just not classified for it. I mean, if someone wanted to do the work, you probably could get it.
I agree with it.
That's what I was wondering.
But I think my personal opinion is I think 40 acres would give us a little better control, because I'm just afraid of people coming in and just really developing a lot of land for cannabis.
Well, the only thing is, there is limited, well, one, as a individual, you can, what is it, 8 plants, I think, or something like that. So we wouldn't be able to limit that at all, but there are limited state micro licenses available, right? So that's gonna limit it somewhat. So how many of them will be now then? But, yeah, I mean, I see that argument, and that's where I started. But more and more, I'm thinking, even if you had 20 acres and you wanted to come in, it would be less people coming in to ask us to change the ordinance, and we'd address it less often, and we could make sure through the IUP that, things are being followed. So I mean, I could be talked down to 10 acres. I understand 40 acres, but
Let's go in the middle, let's do
Yeah.
15. We could do 15.
I was gonna try and understand how many 40-acre parcels there
I'm
were.
kind of doing the math in my head
Yeah.
right now, I'm giggling
There's still a
because,
lot of 40 acre parcels.
Yeah. I mean, I think there tends to be 40 plus and then 5 acre, and then, 5 to 10. I don't think there's a lot in between, but
and in a nutshell, all of our pre-RRA, what's that classification? The one on the far east side, is that the RRA? Or is
RRA is covering most of the community, so there's the zoning map on.
what's the other zoning map? What's the other number, another letter?
There's
Classification.
RRT, the rural residential transition.
That's the one, the RRT. So that one over there is a 2.5 acre minimum. But for years prior to that, it was the RRA, which is a 5 acre average minimum, which said you average 5 acres. The number of parcels over 10 in that situation were tiny because of the way they had to do things, and that was because it was pretty much a giant swamp.
right.
I mean, you couldn't divide a swamp because it needed to have buildable land. So the reason for the average was to allow it to get bigger and smaller so that we could have, because of our lowlands.
So similar to a development where you have to have a 1 acre building site, you have to have a plan for septic, or you have to have an area for septic and that.
Yeah.
We can control that via an IUP, that you have to have 500 foot, 1,000, whatever we want to make a setback, you need to have this much area as, that can all be controlled in an IUP. That's not necessarily in the ordinance.
Yes and no, it
Okay.
can maybe be controlled in IUP, but to the extent that you think you might want something like that, I'd encourage you to include it in the ordinance, because then it kind of is, it acts as a gatekeeper in a way then too.
Right.
It's hard to determine that number though, because the lots are just so, like for distances, right?
If somebody was in a really unique situation, they could always ask for a variance and prove why that would be justified in that case or situation.
So in an IUP, would they have to submit a plan that shows where,
Yes, they will, and that's part of their next step with the state as
Right.
well, is to develop their full plans.
So another thing that's limiting license issues is the state opens up the licensure, or has opened it up, they opened it up for 6 weeks. It's closed right now, nobody can, get in, and with the backlog that they have right now, it's, at least in my opinion, unlikely they're gonna open up next year. Because they're still processing the 1,600 different licenses from around the state, be it retail, be it processor, all the different endorsements. So you can't currently go out and get pre-approval, you have to have applied from February. So we'll see if they open it up again, but right now it's closed.
So is the timeline you'd start growing in the spring?
Yeah, it'll be like any other row crop, yeah. Yes,
Like a row crop,
Yes.
yes.
literally.
Does that include greenhouses too?
Greenhouse, you know, we probably could start in March, start our seeds.
It would be similar, but earlier and then
It just-
push it later.
You know, moves the season up a month or so, moves it, gives us another end date farther back, maybe Thanksgiving, there'll still be warm enough in there.
Yeah, unless we had HVAC, which seems costly.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
So,
Could you be-
how, is it easy to do I guess lot size chart of the city and understand how many 10 acre, how many 20, 10 to 20, 20 to 40? Is that something that's doable, or is that nearly impossible?
Question. It would,
I mean,
It's
there's a way to do
doable.
it.
it's doable.
Yeah.
There's a way to
Do
kind
it on
of,
the website, the county website, the GIS, you can do it through there.
yeah, and you can
It's kind of a
kind of,
mess.
yeah, you can roughly do it through there, but, part of the issue is, so you'd have to go through and kind of hand count. What you couldn't do is actually figure out how many there are, because there are places all over the place in town where a given legal description might consist of 80 acres, but somehow be carved up into 3 PIDs,
Right.
or vice versa. And so you
Pretty
miss
normal.
all of that nuance of it. So we would still be, even if we did that and came up with a map, I don't think the map would be very accurate.
Get a
Yeah,
rough idea though. Oh,
Yeah, and I guess, you know, and it would
start
still,
driving around.
Yeah,
yeah, and it would still take quite a bit of time
yeah.
as well.
It would just be interesting to know that if we set it to 40 acres, how many eligible parcels are there? If we set it to 20, how many are there? Does it make any difference if we said 15 acres or 40? That might be the same number of parcels, So, yeah, I
I
guess,
don't know that we wanna make the decision based on that.
not necessarily, but, yeah. Can we limit the number of cultivators in the ordinance?
I would have to talk to the attorney about that.
Because I mean, then I'd do 10 acres with a maximum of 10 licensed cultivators, something like that.
Don't you think that the demand and
Should do it,
will
yes,
control it?
right. I would
If
say
you get
that,
too much of
yes,
this out there, they're gonna have to give it away.
right,
And that ain't gonna go over too big, with people, if they put a lot of work in it.
I'm generally not for artificially limiting anything, so. Other than maybe the number of storage units in a town.
I mean, I would suggest if you want to baby step your way into it, take a higher amount of acreage than I have currently in here. Have it be owner occupied as a requirement, establish a minimum setback from property lines.
Yeah,
Do we have any idea right now how many applicants have been received for the whole city?
As far as I'm aware, at this point in time, they are the only ones who've been pre-approved for any type of license in the city.
Okay. That gives you a little bit of basis
well, and do we want to limit it to a micro license? And, you know, and not have a macro at a home-based.
Can we even do that?
I don't have it at my fingertips, but I know you know it. What were the, size limitations on both the micro and the macro
The
again?
macro is you get up to 1 full acre outdoor canopy, 15,000 indoor canopy. The micro is half an acre, 5,000.
I wrote it down. So I don't know that most people, especially if you're talking about over a minimum of say 20 acres, most people might not even know that it's occurring.
Right, because 1 whole acre of production is, what, 53,000 square feet?
43,560.
So-
acres.
But then you gotta remember, that's what is that, that's 1,000,
213 by about, or 208 by 208 is
there you
all
go,
it is.
yep. A nice little square, but then you add 1,000 on each side of that, so you need 1,200 one direction, and you need more than 1,200 another direction to make it work, if you did a
Then
500 foot setback.
Another thing is, we haven't probably felt the brunt of, there's some religious groups that are gonna be totally dead set against growing anything like that. They probably won't be people like that to be growing. They're gonna have because there's quite a number of people that do not like marijuana under any conditions, you know. So you gotta remember that too.
I'm one of them.
Just like some people don't like animals. Let's just be honest.
Same as alcohol.
Yes, right?
People
For
like
sure, you have them all. They could be your neighbor right now.
I think it's gonna be okay if we have some kind of, have these controls, because later on, we're gonna look at it and say, hey, we should have did this. I'm okay with 20 acres, but not with 10.
So what we're here to discuss is our page 5, correct? We're trying to
Right.
figure out what we want to do.
Adding RRA to it where that's been eliminated.
And I will say, obviously, you can also recommend that you don't change the ordinance to the council, if that's what the inclination of the school is.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Mr. Hiccup.
So we got these, security fencing and video lighting,
So
there's all these requirements on it,
that's to the state.
from the state, which you have to comply by, which will, they seem more suited for industrial zones, so I'm in support of keeping the ordinance as industrial. I think they want all this lighting and security, neighborhoods and farms that, it's not typical farming, that security.
I know exactly where you live. I used to be your neighbor. You'll never see this property. You literally have to go down a 3/4 mile
Doesn't matter if
driveway.
it's,
You'll never see this.
there's a lot more properties that will different. Open it up
So-
to every-
True, so that's why I'm saying, let's find some stipulations that make this comfortable for everybody.
So are you required to have lights on the half acre?
There is something about lights, they said
There are
something about.
lights,
But
but
is that mainly
You don't need to be on
targeted towards
24/7.
interior?
a lot of
No.
those that you're reading are on the retail side. You have to have lights, security. I mean, you still have to have security feeds for gated with security and lights. But yeah, you'll have to have something, but not as rigorous as a
Yeah.
retail operation.
So how are you to secure the field? From someone coming
First of
in?
all, good luck finding it. It's a little swampy and a little wet, a lot of trees, just saying.
Public
We will have
parking.
we'll have our driveway gated with a secure gate. We'll have some motion cameras down there, so, we see anybody that pulls up, mostly everybody, the Amazon guy. We'll have a fence around the canvas lot. And we'll have some motion lights on it, we'll have some more cameras on it.
So something also you might consider, so this is agricultural. You can't do anything with the crop until it's actually harvested, cured, and stored. It's not even consumable
Just
much like you have to dry corn or you have to dry soybeans, I mean, you
Even
ran it out of the field and you couldn't use it worth a darn.
Yeah.
Right? You
Understand.
actually have to cut it, dry it, it's a crop,
Right,
so
it's, yeah.
it's not usable.
It's deer food until it's
Yeah,
complete.
And I'm sure they love the taste of the leaves.
Oh, I'm sure.
Okay,
so
But tobacco is very similar to that, that has to be dried.
dried, cured,
So does
stored.
corn and beans.
so I just think they're ahead of their time. But I think back, I'm sure the tobacco industry was doing the same thing as we're doing right now, milling out how we're gonna make this work. So it's just, it's a new thing, and we should entertain at least figuring out if there's something we can do as a committee.
So,
It's a crop in a way. You may not have animals and, need hay or soybeans. But if you do have animals, you probably are needing those soybeans and this corn and you don't even know it. Looking at the list that we have here, we need to decide on an acreage size in letter A. Letter B,
I think we
fine with.
talked Chairman Ames down to 20 acres.
we got them down to 20. Can you twist your arm?
I'm better with 40 because I can see it eventually the risk getting out of hand. You know what I'm saying? Same way as people that have the liquor and stuff, that can get out of hand too.
Is,
I'm not, nothing against you guys, but I can just see down the road, a lot of people coming in here and wanting to have it because there's money in it, and not only money, I look at the state requirements, it's really, really rigid, but people can meet those requirements.
question. The letters D, E, and F on page 5 of our packet, are those numbers that you just pulled from the state's minimum, or is this something that we just kind of borrowed from our last discussion about this?
That's borrowed from our last discussion, which is
Okay.
the maximum you can.
Oh, so there is a max. Okay, so then we can't change any of those. Okay.
No, I mean, you can make them less, but no, you can't make them more.
Okay, I just wanted to verify. And we're gonna add the property set, oh no. Are we gonna be able to add like a property setback for the crop to be grown?
I think we can do that.
Okay, 'cause so like if they had the 10 acres, well, they can, in a nutshell, based on the numbers, they can do a full acre, but we would still like it in from the property.
Some
Lines.
distance, right?
Yes, so that it's not on someone else, literally next to somebody else's property. Okay, so can we add something like that to it?
You can.
Okay,
So you just need to pick a minimum setback from property lines.
okay, and I'm thinking 500 feet.
Yeah, I mean, and the other thing is, I would like to put in something where it's micro for RRA. And if you have a macro license, it has to be in our industrial area. You know, rather than having a 15,000 square foot pole barn on a 20-acre parcel. You know,
So
I don't know.
I think all the macro licenses have already been gobbled up.
Sure, for now,
Yeah,
for now.
true.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but I would, if it's going to be a home occupation, additional income,
Yeah,
doing something, I
we
would,
would like it at a micro stage.
right,
I agree,
yeah.
I agree,
I mean, I can't see that would be a problem. You can have a macro
yeah.
and grow it in town, but it's gotta be industrial and it's gotta be
Is
enclosed.
there a way that we can tackle that, or is that
I
gonna
would
step outside
need
the
to
top?
talk to our attorney and
Okay.
figure that out, but you can make that recommendation and then I can figure that out before I send it
We
to council.
would, I think that would be a great recommendation, along with the owner occupancy for the parcel that's going to be growing on. And we're at 20 acres.
You did say owner operator too, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. It has to be agriculture, agreement, acres.
Let me pose a question that happens occasionally. Obviously, we would check if it's agricultural, if that's a requirement at the time that the IUP comes in. Does the property have to stay classified as agricultural?
They're probably gonna like it that way.
This stuff, I believe, it's taxed commercial.
No, I know, I'm just meant for their own personal property taxes, they're gonna prefer to keep that ag.
Oh, I agree,
Classification.
everybody would love to do that,
Yeah,
but when you have a community like this where you have people moving around, moving in and out.
oh, they don't realize that they can get it.
No, sometimes, somebody might come in and might have been agricultural, and then it gets lost.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So, would it need to be maintained, would the agricultural then be something that just needs to exist at the time of initial application? Or period, end of story, it needs to be on property that's tax ag?
But if they're an owner occupant, owner operator, if they leave, the property is no longer in operation for such.
The IUP goes away, right?
Right.
Two different things, yes.
Oh, you're okay, so you're, okay. not
Yep, no, I'm
following
talking
that.
about the taxed agricultural.
But, well, I mean, if they wanna let it go, how's that gonna hurt us?
I'll give a different kind of example, it's not cannabis related. In another community that I work in just the other week, I turned somebody down for an agricultural building on property that in tax payable year 2025 is taxed as agricultural, but for payable year 2026, we already know it's not going to be. Because the assessor has already said it's not going to be. So I turned down the,
What
Ag
is
building.
it changing to?
in their case, there's, in that other community, it was changing to residential.
Residential, yeah.
Yeah, it was really one of those situations where it was taxed as ag forever, and then the assessor did the revaluation that they periodically do, and, determined it was no longer being used as agricultural. It probably hadn't been used that way for several years, but it's just, that's the.
So they don't have rural residential agriculture? It's-
Zoning is different from taxes.
Yeah, okay,
So for tax purposes, to get taxed as agricultural, you have to meet a number of
right.
characteristics, but among those are that typically you would have the 10 acres tillable that you were mentioning before, and it's gotta be productive, has to be productive, it has to be for profit.
So in general, a lot of our RRA is taxed as residential.
Yeah.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
is where
I
I am.
vote.
so.
Yeah, I would say about 70% is
Yeah,
taxed
okay.
that way here in the city.
And that might just be a known entity that, you know, if we keep that tax as ag in there, that maybe when somebody initially comes in for an IUP, which has time limits on it, that when they were to re-up or want to reapply in 5 or 10 years or whatever time limit you would put on an IUP, they might not qualify anymore.
Yeah.
Are you qualified as ag? Okay,
Yeah, we have some hay fields and I have 4 horses.
gotcha.
So. Seems like a lot of work.
So I think part of this too is how important is that ag classification to you? Or is it fine if it's on 20+ acres and it's a home occupation?
And it's residential.
And it's residential and getting that portion taxed as commercial.
But it's big enough, you know what I mean? Like it's large enough,
Mhm.
but they're just not cultivating it for
Other things as well.
animals. Yeah, animals or crop.
In other words, what you're saying here is they'd lose their agriculture if we,
No,
Not necessarily.
We don't
We don't.
control the ag
No.
taxation.
but we're saying is if they did lose it and
Yeah.
became residential, would we not reapprove?
Or would it
Yeah.
invalidate the
Or would
permit
it
at that point?
invalidate?
Agree.
Yeah.
So,
Away.
I don't know.
I can't say I don't care.
I don't care either. I don't care. You got 20 acres and you wanna put a half of an acre into cannabis? I don't care. I don't care if it's ag exempt or
Especially
not.
since it's home occupation.
Right.
Yeah,
It's
it's a mini.
not somebody from the outside.
Cause we don't really get into that if it was a mechanic shop that they're operating out of their house, we don't care how it's stacked, right?
Oh, yeah.
I would say it follows
They
the
have
same
no
thing
voice,
here.
they have no voice to it.
They have it on the bottom.
Body shop right now. Yes, they do.
So do you wanna take out that part that I have in there right now about that it has to be taxed as ag?
I think so.
Classified as different than this. Yeah, we can remove that. And
And change it to not less than 20 acres?
yes. And then a mini, or I mean a micro, I'm sorry.
micro?
A micro,
Yep. Owner
License.
occupied, owner operator,
yes,
and minimum setback from property lines of 500.
yeah,
1,000 feet from school,
Yeah.
all that
And all the
and
rest of
stuff.
yeah. I mean, I feel pretty good with that.
How often do you have to reapply for the license?
Anyway,
Annually? Okay.
yeah.
Do-
It's very fun. In my commercial life, I worked for a commercial grain company and I managed all of the organic certificates for all of our elevators, all over the US and Canada. I'm not necessarily 100% concerned that I won't be able to get us renewed.
She's
So-
done this.
Not the first rodeo.
Yeah, that's
So
what I
the
got.
question, I guess, is with this, it is, I think, a little bit different than some of the other agricultural applications. Do we have a time limit where the IUP has to be renewed or something?
Yes. Absolutely, as an IUP, we will.
Do the same as other IUPs.
You, you set those kind of individually depending on what it is. Like a mining IUP, we would typically set for a longer number of years than an IUP for
In
a
case,
temp event.
in case the state
You think
come in
you-
and shut them down,
Maybe.
they lose
All
their
the
right.
fees.
Yes, it would.
They automatically lose their right.
Yeah, we always have that as a
Yeah,
condition of
that's-
IUPs, that you have to maintain all of your permits and licenses with other entities. So if that were to lapse for some reason, or they weren't renewed, or they moved and somebody else moved in, it would go away.
That doesn't apply to them. It's only residential.
Huh?
That's
That's the same thing.
the same thing there.
You guys good with everything so far?
With what we have down here, I think I think it's a good compromise on it.
Okay.
Especially service. Hippo, what you guys got to say?
I don't really support expanding it beyond the industrials.
Okay.
You need a motion?
We need a motion?
Public hearing's still
Oh,
open.
we got this public hearing still on. Gotta close that.
Are we ready to close it? Okay, I'll close the public hearing. Now, we need a motion, somebody like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the set ordinance amendment for the cultivation with the notes that we came up with for acreage, owner occupation, property setbacks.
I'm looking at the micro.
Oh, yeah, and the license being a micro for the state. I think that's it.
20 acres and not requiring it to be taxed as ag.
Oh, yes, it does, yes, so, yeah, covered that.
We have a second. Commissioner Pearl made a motion. Do we have a second to this motion?
I'll second.
Commissioner Dees, seconded. Any further discussion? Okay, we'll call for a vote. All in favor of this ordinance, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. It passed. So we go to the city council, second Tuesday of next month.
Just like 2 weeks. No, it's first week, right? Like 2 weeks from now. Oh, yeah, okay.
Okay, Now we'll go to our next public hearing. It has to do with the amendment fee to the fee ordinance. And we'll have Diana has her, she'll present what she has.
If it's okay, I'll pass this one to Natalie.
Okay.
This is just amending the administrative fee for any planning and zoning applications, and an additional $50 to help cover the public hearing costs of the mailing, and removing the actual public hearing amount that we had been collecting in case it never gets to that point.
I'm glad I need a little more clarification, please. Run that back by me again, it's to cover what?
Okay, so right now, we collect $200 for administrative fee. That's for myself or Lexi to set up the escrow, get the mailings out, send it to the paper, that sort of thing. And we also collect a public hearing fee of $250. We don't always go to public hearing, so then we end up just doing refund. So what Cindy would like to do is we will bill that when it actually happens, rather than trying to collect that ahead of time.
That makes sense.
And then we're gonna increase that admin fee by $50 because postage has gone up so much.
Oh.
We need to be able to cover those costs.
Yeah.
So other than that, there really isn't anything changing
What's a typical cost
for,
for this? So have we been losing money on the $200 one?
I would say yes. Because I believe that that was set when wages were a little bit lower, when postage was lower.
I don't think it's changed in a while, just be honest.
It
Yeah,
has not changed in
no,
quite
it
some
has
time.
not.
And for right now, this is the only one we're approving, the other
Right.
ones will be coming.
Other stuff will be coming
Okay.
through later, yes.
Can we tie it to the postage rates so it goes up?
Oh, that'd be awfully difficult right now.
So just let me,
If you know how much postage though, you could theoretically take that out of somebody's escrow as well.
We could,
So could we charge them actual fee then, at a flat rate for the administrative and then actual postage out of escrow?
and then charge the escrow, we could do
Then we
that.
don't have to change it every year or two when the post office raises rates.
Regardless though, 200 for the admin part of the fee is pretty low, I would still do the 250.
I got a question to ask though. The city's already approved this?
The council already has,
The
yes.
council's already
So if
approved
we
it?
change it, they've got it.
They've already changed it, so we can't do anything with it.
Well,
No,
no,
you still
no,
have-
we can do a repeal and replace.
if we feel that it's, yeah.
Okay.
So I guess just one more clarification. This $200 or, well, to be $250 now, that's actually charged to the applicant, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so it's money coming in, it's not actually
Right.
funds from our city budget, okay,
No, it's
Making
money to
sense.
cover the cost of staff.
which is,
You know, the
I
monthly
agree,
escrow statements, the, you know,
Yep.
that kind of stuff.
I agree, it's no
I
problem with it.
like Commissioner Hoppl's idea of, maybe I would say change it to 250 and then have actual cost of mailings on top of it.
Yeah, I think we should have, so the city taxpayers aren't funding people's personal changes. So this thing,
I like that.
we don't make it to the actual cost they're incurring.
I-
Seems fair.
I like it.
There can be a lot of variables in the dollar amount that it costs.
But
Yes.
you'll know that once you do the mailing, right? Then you
Right.
just,
Because
whatever
we'll know
that
how
cost
many,
was,
yeah,
right?
we will know how many residents we have to mail out.
Yeah,
as long as it's not more work for you, then, yeah.
No, we can just add it to the escrow.
Mr. Chair,
and that makes it easy.
will the applicant know before you do the mailing, how much it's gonna cost them?
We could let
I
them
just-
know, it's
Yeah, I
just-
guess
yeah.
I don't know how outrageous it could be, but not that it would necessarily stop somebody, I suppose, but.
In a nutshell,
Nice to know
if you
before.
were to apply for something and you needed an IUP or CUP, it would be, 1,000 feet or whatever from your property, that's who's included. So you kind of get an idea
I know.
how many people are
Yeah.
this possible. And it's what, 78
Used to
cents
be.
now per mailing?
And if I may, relatively speaking, that's a small part of the cost.
Yeah, well, yeah.
So true.
I really like the idea of just having them pay the
Yep.
actual costs.
I think that's totally fine.
I think that's the most fair.
So this is a recommendation we're making here. The city council that
Just update the one child,
Right.
yeah, one change, okay.
Are there any other questions about this?
Oh, please.
I have a question. As I look here at the, I don't understand, you said some baseball field, 3 hours. So damage deposit, what's the damage?
That's nothing that we're talking about today. Nothing is changing with that, that's just what our part of our fee schedule.
Okay, because because a lot of times a baseball game will go over 3 hours if it's extra innings and stuff.
Right, yeah, no, that's nothing that we're talking about tonight.
We're not talking anything about any of this stuff on here?
No,
Just
that
that one item?
just that one item.
I thought it was the whole thing.
No, sir.
Okay, okay. In other words, we can close the public hearing before that. Close the public hearing, unless there's more discussion. Seeing none, we'll call, somebody like to make this motion of this.
I'll make a motion to approve this with addition of the actual cost of postage be assessed to the escrow of the applicant.
I'll second.
Commissioner Hitler made the motion, second by Commissioner Carlson. Any discussion?
Just to clarify, the 250 plus postage, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, just clarify. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. And,
There you go, city council, you gotta do it again.
so,
That's really why I voted for
we
it.
need one more motion.
Just kidding.
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
We have a motion, Commissioner
I'll
Carlson,
second it.
Commissioner